Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm dressed up for you today. Actually no, I'm in New Orleans for a nephew's wedding, but I'm still out of town, haven't gone back home since the home entertainment show where I've been posting videos. And I thought I had some free time before I have to go down to the wedding. I'll do a quick video giving my summary of thoughts. People have been asking me which rooms were the best, what did you think? And so I thought I'd do a little quick excerpt here to summarize my thoughts. And first of all, I want to give a shout out to the organizers of the show, the attendees, and the exhibitors. I mean, it's a major undertaking to do a show in normal conditions. Post-COVID is another challenge that was monumental, getting people, you know, not afraid to show up and exhibit, and unknowns. So shout out to all the exhibitors and the attendees that showed up. The organizers, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the show a couple years ago got canceled last minute by, it was a combination of them and the LA Audio Show, and the girl that was running it just quit last minute and screwed everybody basically. So this was a monumental achievement on many fronts. So give extra points to any exhibitor that showed up at this show, and if you as an attendee, I mean, if there's any way for dealers and exhibitors to give discounts to people that showed up, that should be a bonus point as well for those people that did show up. I think you were rewarded with great sound, and the fact that it was fairly light attended. There was crowded in aspects on Saturday where you couldn't get into rooms, but those that were there the whole weekend could really settle in, talk to the exhibitors themselves, get the sweet spot, and really enjoy a show unlike any I've had in 20 plus years, where you're just trying to get to every room and at least see everything once. Here I was able to go back, and in the videos you've seen, I've probably posted a couple of rooms more than once. So it definitely was a unique experience, a fun experience, and again, kudos to everybody involved. Now, as far as my thoughts on the sound of the show, I was really kind of worried that I wanted to give all the exhibitors credit for showing up and didn't want to say anything bad about any exhibits that I did here, if I did, and luckily I really didn't. I mean, every room really was above average for show conditions. Now, you'll never hear the level of gear at their best in these showrooms. I mean, there's just no way for them to do all that needs to be done, and room treatments and whatnot. You'll never hear the gear at its best at these shows, but for a level of show, the quality of audio from most every room I went into was as good as it gets, if not better. So I want to give a shout out to that aspect of it. In terms of my favorite rooms, it really came down to exhibitors getting that lucky room or picking a room that fit the gear that they were bringing the best. And I'll give a shout out to a few rooms that really stood out to me. The first one though that really amazed me the most in some respects was the Voss Audio Electronics room. They're a new company just doing the electronics, and they had those Graham LS58 speakers, and it was immensely satisfying sound in that room. But what was really unique that I noticed about that room, and a new exhibitor versus all others, is that he picked a room with really the longest and largest room in many respects, other than the high fidelity cables room. Really was able to put the speakers out into the room. Electronics were really far back, and just the setup was such that it, and that combination of BBC speaker, just immensely satisfying sound, and analog tape was the only source. So there was a case of somebody new company really piqued my interest because they just knew how to set up a room. And kudos should go to Philip O'Hanlon, who played a role. And those who know Philip O'Hanlon, he's had a lot of shows, a lot of experience, well-regarded guy, and knows how to set up a room and knows electronics. So kudos to him as well. May not have shown up on the actual badge of the exhibit room, but he was instrumental in supplying some of the gear. I think the speakers and the tape, and Voss Audio did the electronics. So shout out to them on a great room and working with what they have and picking the right room. Another room that was really good sound-wise was the PBN room. And now it was a small room near field, and you'd think these huge monster, you know, cabinets would be too much that close, but I'm used to that in my room near field listening on very large speakers. And also he kept the doors open, so really his actual room size was much bigger than the actual boundaries suggested, and it worked really well in giving that immediate presence, dynamics. Just really kudos to the PBN room on a job well done with their exhibit. The other one that really piqued my interest in a couple of ways was Audiovector, and those speakers just had a lot of unique aspects, from the grounding wire to the way the sealed box, almost woofer module that fired downward, just the way they worked with they created their own drivers from scratch, AMT style tweeters, and just a lot of aspects of that was a really intriguing sound. It was a little bit probably small speaker for the immense size of that room, but still incredibly good sounding system that I was not familiar with, so kudos to them. Vox, that's one of my favorite open baffle planar speakers. Now they're very pricey, and I think they've only gone up in price, especially with the outboard crossover now being an extra $30,000. So nothing not cheap at all compared to Maggie's, but in many ways it's a superior speaker, as it should be for that price. But it gives you that presentation that is a lot different from all the other rooms that are mostly point source and, you know, almost shout the music in a different presentation. So it's about what your favorite rooms often are going to be related to the room quality, obviously the speaker type, but the presentation can make a big difference in what resonates with you. And to that end, I guess another room that was really high dollar was the Sunny Audio room with the Stenheim speakers and the WADAX $100,000 DAC and the CH Precision Electronics, which had a scheduled demo. So that's a very polarizing thing. I heard people that didn't like the room or didn't like having a scheduled demo, and then other people were raving about it. And there's pluses and minuses to each one. The pluses are you get to hear a formal presentation, details on the gear that you don't normally get when you're just walking casually through, and it was very professionally done. Multiple people spoke and gave details on each of the pieces of equipment, including the stands. The HRS stands are very impressive. The negative is that whatever your seat is for the presentation, that's fixed, so you can't easily move around and get the sweet spots, so your impressions are limited. I did go back twice and get a center seat a second time so that I could get a better impression. And it's an impressive system. I think what polarized some people is that some people loved it, but I think for me the problem was I don't think it was a great room for them. I reserve judgment until I hear that in a great room, because I think for the cost profile of the gear, it will sound even greater in a more ideal room, because they had a solid wall on one side and then a very thin wall for the next exhibitor on the other side, and so they did the best job they could doing an angle type presentation, but I reserve judgment on that system until I can hear it in a different scenario, because for the price, I'm sure, and I know CH Precision gear is well regarded, it's great stuff, and the Stenheims are very well regarded as well. So while it didn't blow me away for the price at that particular demo, I know why. It was mostly because of room, and you have to have that always in your mind when you go to these shows. So, and to that end, I'll piggyback that. Right after the show, I went to Las Vegas to help the 3MA guys do a setup of Wilson Max's, B&W Nautilus, and Avant-Garde Duo speakers in a customer's home. 3 systems in one home. And being able to spend a full day, actually we spent 3 days there, and tweaking the room and the system just made loads of difference. Minor adjustments, 6 inches here or there, measurably and audibly make a big difference. So again, you have to discount at these shows that even though the price tag's big, and you may say, oh wow, that didn't sound like a $500,000 system. Well, if it's dialed in perfectly in your room with proper room treatments, that's when you really can put the rubber to the road of what these systems can do. So unfortunately, shows can't always exhibit the top level of performance capable. Some other things that I will point out, I did try to showcase things that, again, I can't endorse, but I did showcase things I've never seen before, like tweaks, a little bit of copper thing. I've never even seen that before, never heard of it. I'm sure a lot of people are skeptical about that. I can't vouch for it, but I like to showcase things that I've never seen before, and he was very enthusiastic about it. And room users, exhibitors, were using his product and saying that they felt it made a difference. So I thought I'd share that with you. Also, the high fidelity cables guy is a very controversial guy. Had a very, cool setup, Tesla coils, all kinds of demos, and he's got some contact enhancer that he actually gave me a free sample of to try. And again, I've got videos on my tweaks that I've used over 30 plus years. I encourage you to watch that video, kind of show you what I've learned about tweaks over the years, and which ones I think provide more benefit than others. But again, I like to showcase these things and let you make the call, let you try them and see for yourself what you think. One thing about Rick Schultz, polarizing as he is, I think he really, this is his hobby as well as his profession. Some of these people make a living in this hobby, make the money, and then they have a bunch of other hobbies where they spend their money. He seems to be one of these guys that, makes his money in this and then puts it back into building this stuff for himself. A lot of these things, as he admits in one of the videos I did, he's only sold one of these particular cords and he built it mainly for himself. So, again, polarizing guys, but all of these things make the industry, in my opinion, more fun, more interesting, and at least a worthwhile to showcase and let you make the call of what you think about them. So, again, just wanted to give this real quick summary. I may post some more in the future. I still have more videos to show. You're going to want to see those videos from Vegas when we do 3 systems. So that's coming up soon. So subscribe, sign up for notifications, and I'll see you back here soon.